afternoon, guys. Let's revise entire Companies Act. Companies Act 2013. है ना? Are you all talking? Keep quiet. Section 1 of the Act deals with what? Applicability of the Act. This Act is applicable to whole of India, and nature-wise it is applicable to obviously companies. It also applies to these special companies provided the Act that they have and the provisions that are given in Companies Act are not inconsistent. So अलग-अलग अगर provision है as per Companies Act and as per their governing act, then their governing act is going to apply. अगर same provision है, then can we say our Companies Act applies? Yes, we can. So this act applies to companies, to insurance companies, to banking companies, to electricity companies, any company that is incorporated, governed by any special act, or even to certain notified body corporates. Is this clear? What's the definition of a company? Company means a company that is incorporated under this act or any other previous company law. So for a company to be company, since the word means is given, there's only one way, and that way is that it has to be incorporated. If it is not incorporated under this act, it will not be treated as if it is a company. Clear? Every company has got certain characteristics, and those characteristics are what? Class type, 2 C's and 3 S's. 2 C's are what? First is common seal, and second capacity to sue and to be sued. Then next L is limited liability of the members. Then next it is an artificial person, and 3 S's are separate legal entity, separate management, separate property. Then T is transferability of shares. I is incorporated association, and last is perpetual succession. Let us see each of these points. Ekdam. Incorporated association means for a company to be registered, incorporated, it has to be formed and registered under Companies Act. So Companies Act ke provisions as well as rules it has to comply with. Correct? Next one, it is an artificial person. Is company a fictitious person? No, it is not a natural person. Company exists in the eyes of law. That's why we say company is an artificial person. Anything that can be done, not everything that can be done by a natural person can be done by a company. Like for example, some things that they told over here, like company, natural person can be sent to jail. How about a company? Can it go to jail? No. So when a company is entering into transactions, it enters into transactions through its directors, correct? So directors are entering into transactions or contracts on behalf of the company, and that is why, since we can't hold the company liable in certain cases, there is lifting of corporate veil, right? Next one, separate legal entity. Company exists in whose name? Its own name. The rights and liabilities of company are whose rights and liabilities? Company's rights and liabilities. It is separate from that of its members, separate from that of its directors, correct? Then perpetual succession means what? Members may come and go, but what about company? It will continue to exist in its own name till it is wound up, right? Shares that are there can, agar samjho pure members ka ek sath death ho gaya, then what about the shares? They are transferred to their office death, legal representatives or their nominees through a process called as transmission. What's the difference between transfer and transmission? Transfer is voluntary when a person is alive, and transmission applies when the member dies, and it is by operation of law, correct? Liability of the members of a company is going to be limited. Liability of the company will be unlimited. Liability of the members will be limited. It can be a company which is limited by shares or by guarantee or by shares and guarantee and by unlimited company. If it is limited by shares, members' ka liability is limited to what extent? To the extent of unpaid value on the shares. And when will they be liable to pay this money? Whenever company calls. So when does the liability arise? Is when the company calls. If it is a company limited by guarantee, members will be liable to the extent of guarantee given, but their liability will only arise at the time of winding up of the company, not during the lifetime of the company. Company can have shares as well as guarantee. अगर दोनों रहा तो both these things apply. And if it is an unlimited company, during the lifetime, the liability is still going to be limited. When will it be unlimited is? During the winding up of the company. So even if it is an unlimited company, it may or may not have a share capital. Shares are a very good way to raise a lot of money from a lot of people, correct? So can company prefer to have a share capital? Yes, it can. If suppose share capital agar hai, means the members of this company, what are they going to get in return? They will get a dividend in return, correct? Agar company does not have a share capital, what will members get in return? So guarantee company ke members, what are they getting in return? Is nothing. They are not getting anything in return. Dividend is paid only on shares, not on guarantee that is given. So members of guarantee company, what are they going to get? Nothing. That is why guarantee company is a preferred form of a company. For which type of companies? Section 8 companies. Why Section 8 companies? Because they are prohibited from paying dividend to the members, right? If a company does not have any commercial business or does not want to share profits or does not want to raise so much money, whatever money it is getting from the members, a little bit maybe contribution fees or whatever it is calling as, if it is sufficient, then company may not have a share capital. It can be a guarantee company and still it will be a valid company, right? Then next one, common seal. Is it mandatory for company to have a common seal? No. When common seal is affixed by the company, means still it will be affixed by the directors as well. It will be binding on the company if the company has a common seal. Agar common seal nahi hai, even then the documents will be binding on the company if it is signed by 2 directors. But if the company has a CS, it will be signed by 1 director and 1 CS. Is it once again mandatory to have a common seal? No. Transferability of shares means what? What can members do? Members can transfer their shares depending or in a manner that is given in their articles. This point especially applies to define a private company ke articles has got certain clauses. So this point also is telling us that if it's a private company, then shares can be transferred, but still there is going to be a restriction. If it's a public company, then is there any restrictions? No. So what do we call? These shares are freely transferable, correct? Separate management. The regular routine decisions in a company are taken by whom? By the board of directors. Can I go to Nestle company's what manufacturing unit and can I tell ऐसा KitKat मत बनाओ, थोड़ा सा अलग वाला KitKat बनाओ? Are they bound to listen to me? No. But I am the owner. I am the member of the company. Are they bound to listen to me? No. Membership, ownership is separate and management is separate. For routine decisions, only and only who will take it? Board of directors in a meeting that they call as a board meeting. The decisions passed in the board meeting will be called as board resolutions. But members are the people who are giving money. Decisions are taken by the board, but members are giving money. So law has seen that the ultimate control of appointment or removal of the directors is also with the members. Also, law has given certain powers or rights to the members to take part in certain important decisions, which we call as significant decisions. How do we know whether it's a significant decision or not? It will be given by the Act itself. The Act specifies it. So, Act has specified certain cases where OR is needed, that is ordinary resolution, or where SR is needed, that is special resolution. OR or SR will be passed by whom? By the members in a meeting called as the general meeting. Board meeting mein are the members going to be present? No. General meeting mein will the board be present? Yes. Board resolution is passed at a board meeting by the directors. OR or SR is passed in a general meeting by the members. Okay? Separate property. So the property that is owned by the company will be owned in whose name? Its own name. Correct? Member का property, member के नाम पे अगर है तो it's members property, company के नाम पे है तो it is company's property. So company is a separate legal entity. It can have a property in its own name. Correct? And last one is capacity to sue and to be sued. Company can sue others. Others can also file a suit on the company. Clear? Once again, tell me all the characteristics. 2 C's and 3 S's. First is common seal, then capacity to sue and to be sued, then limited liability, then artificial person, then 3 S's are separate legal entity, separate management, separate property, then transferability of shares, then association and perpetual succession. See and read these points which we had by-hearted. Corporate will means a separate legal entity. First point, company is separate legal entity from its members. Second, it has got its own rights, own name, rights and liabilities. It is not an agent of the members or the directors. The members of the company are shielded from the liability of arising because of the company's actions. This means that there is a corporate insulation, and the same point again, shareholders are protected from the acts of the company. So company is separate, members, directors, everybody is separate. This is supported by 3 very famous case laws. First is Salomon versus the Salomon and Company Limited. So this Salomon was carrying out a boot manufacturing business, sole proprietor business. He was doing really very well. Then he along with his family members formed a company called as Salomon and Company Limited. Company took over the sole proprietor business. Company paid money to the sole proprietor. The money that was paid in the form of cash, shares and secured debentures. Entire secured debentures were given only and only to one person, which is Mr. Salomon. ये जो Salomon Company Limited था, it was not doing business well, so it went into liquidation. When it went into liquidation, assets are realized and liabilities are paid off. सबसे पहले the secure creditors were paid off. So he said money should be paid to him. Other creditors said, it is your company. You are paying money to yourself. You shouldn't pay money to yourself first. You should pay money to us first. He filed a suit on the company and court said he is separate. Company is separate. For the company, he is a secured creditor. Money should be paid to him first. Only then if anything is left to the unsecured creditors. So Mr. Salomon and Salomon and Company Limited, are they treated as one and the same? No, they are separate. Separate legal entity, corporate will applies. Correct? Second case was Mr. Lee wala case, Mrs. Lee wala case. Lee was a director, Lee was a member, Lee was also the chief pilot. He was flying the plane. Plane gaya niche and Lee gaya upar. So after Lee died, his wife claimed the compensation. The people said that it is his company only. He is paying money to himself. ऐसा नहीं चलेगा, because this money was supposed to be paid to the employees के legal representatives. While he was flying the plane, he was flying it in the capacity of a pilot, means of an employee. Should his wife receive the compensation? Yes. He is separate as a director, as a member, as an employee, and his company also is separate. Correct? Last intelligent lady, what did she do? This company, she had some shares of a company. Company was into agricultural business, which was exempt from tax. She received a dividend from that company. Company earned huge profit. Company gave a dividend. So she said her dividend also has to be exempt from tax, because it is arising due to the agricultural business. Now this is an age-old case. Right now dividend is taxable for the company itself, not for the shareholder. This was an old case where it was taxable for the shareholder. That's why she made this contention कि वो agricultural income ही है. She should not be supposed to be paying tax on it. But what did law say? Company is separate, she is separate. For company, it is what income? Agricultural income. For her, it is what income? Dividend income. So dividend income is taxable. So these 3 cases are telling us that company is separate, exists in its name, different from its members, directors, employees. It has got its own rights and own liabilities. Is this clear? Now, Salomon ka business, which was not going on well, there is a possibility that he himself did not do it well. है ना? But now you can't do anything because company exists in its own name. He exists in his name, right? But जो हुआ है वो भी तो गलत हुआ है. Law wants to protect innocent people. So that's why law says if there is an abuse of the power of incorporation, corporate will is going to be lifted. So basically company is like a puppet when you want to take a decision in a company, you can take it through two ways. First way is either being the board of director, or another way is by being the member. So since company is like a puppet, whatever the members and board are making the company do, company is going to do exactly like that. If a company does anything wrong, can we say कि वो company की गलती है? No, because who is making it do that? Either the board or the members. So in a puppet show, like we can't say the puppet has done a wrong step. Whose galti it will be? That person who is making the puppet do, correct? And will you see him directly? No, he will be hiding behind a parda, right? So corporate wheel is exactly like that. There exists a parda between the board, the members and the company. And when company does something wrong in certain cases, we lift the corporate wheel. Means what do? We पर्दा उठाओ and देखो पर्दे के पीछे कौन है. Whoever that person will be, he will be held as if he is liable. Correct? Oh, I didn't expect you all to remember this sentence. Okay. Now these 6 points with respect to lifting of corporate wheel. See, first one is what? Ignoring the separate identity of the company. Then disregarding the corporate personality and looking behind who the real persons are in control of the company. What is court doing? Ignoring the company and concerning directly with the members or the directors. Lifting of corporate wheel is possible only if it is permitted by the statute or there is a clear evidence of abuse of device of incorporation. And next one, court is at the discretion of the court whether or not to lift the corporate wheel. So corporate wheel is lifted in these 5 cases. First case is where there is protection of revenue or tax. So this Mr. Dinshaw, what did he do? He formed 4 companies. Why did he form the companies? Was to evade the taxes. क्योंकि उसका खुद का investment income was a lot. Since it was a lot, he was supposed to pay a lot of tax. He formed 4 companies, diverted his income to all of these companies, and now these companies made a little bit of money which was within the exemption limit. This again is an old case where companies also had an exemption limit. Right now companies do not have an exemption limit. But at that time, since it was within the exemption limit, the tax that was payable by the companies was 0. It was nothing. What did he do is he took pretended loans from the company. The company didn't have any real business, real assets, real liabilities, except this one transaction where it gave loans to Mr. Dinshaw. Did Mr. Dinshaw even ever repay these loans? No. So the purpose of the company was only one, that is to evade taxes. Since the companies were formed to evade taxes, lift the corporate wheel and see who is behind the companies. It was Mr. Dinshaw. Mr. Dinshaw will be held liable. These companies or this income of all the companies will be treated as if it is income of Mr. Dinshaw. It will be charged in his hands only. Is this clear? Second case is what? To avoid a legal obligation. Company makes more profit, it has to give more bonus. Holding company क्या किया? एक subsidiary form किया, diverted its profits, investments over there so that its own profits are reduced, so that the bonus that it will pay to the employees also is going to be reduced. Bonus payment is a welfare law, labor law. There is a lot of protection given to laborers. अगर ऐसा चालू चीज करके if the holding company is doing like that, then lift the corporate wheel and see who is behind the subsidiary company. It is the holding company. This income will be treated as if it is the income of the holding company. Third case is about prevention of fraud or improper conduct or to defeat the law. So Guilford entered into a contract with Mr. Horn, chief mechanic of Guilford, that he should not solicit customers. This was an agreeable within restraint of trade, reasonable terms wala restraint of trade. This was a valid contract. So what Mr. Horn did was, he was once working, he was taking the clients from Guilford, and when confronted he said, I am only an employee. Company jo hai, that has hired me and I am only an employee. I am not soliciting customers for myself. Company is separate and I am separate. Lifting the corporate wheel, it is seen Who is behind the company? It was Mr. Horn himself. Why did he form the company? So that he could avoid a legal obligation that was arising out of a contract. It is not permissible. It will be treated as if the breach is done by Mr. Horn himself. Clear? Next one is what? Determining the character of the company. Company is incorporated in England. Directors and members were all Germans. War broke out between England and Germany. England company wanted to recover money from another England debtor. That England debtor said, it is not bound to give money to the company since the company is an alien enemy. Company said, I am incorporated in England. You are also in England. Both of us are bhai, correct? But where this money would have been given to this England company, the money would have been utilized by Germans, correct? And Germans are alien enemies. So lifting of corporate veil was done and it was seen. Who is behind this English company? It was Germans. Clear? And last case is what? Formation of subsidiaries to act as an agent, where the license was not, the holding company could not obtain the license. It took the license in the name of the subsidiary company. The purpose of forming subsidiary company was to get the license. Here holding company only will be held liable because lifting of corporate veil is done. Is this clear? 5 cases lifting is done. What are they? First is protection of revenue or tax. Second one, avoid legal obligation. Third one, of the, correct. Fourth one, and last one, formation of subsidiaries as agents. First wala example is Dinshaw case. Second example is bonus case. Third example is what? Horn wala case. Then next one is English company and German people. And last is license, subsidy for license. Correct? Different types of companies that we have. First one based on liability of the members. Either it can be limited by shares or guarantee, or shares and guarantee, or both. Correct? We discussed an unlimited as well. Yes. We discussed this already. Hai na? Okay. Next one is depending upon a number of members. We have what classification? Public company, private company, then OPC and also small company. Technically speaking, there is only 2 types of companies depending on number of members, public and a private company. But again, private company can either be a normal private company or it can be OPC, or also it can be a small company. What is a public company? See and read the definition. Public company is that which is not a private company, which has got such minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed, and which is a subsidiary of a, to be a public company. So for the purpose of this, subsidiary of a public company will be treated as if it is a public company, even if it is a private company. Correct? Once again, public company is that company which is not a private company. What is the relevance of this sentence? Now that we know what is private company, what's the relevance of this sentence? Those 3 regulations in the articles of a private company are not there in the articles of a public company. Okay. So public company is that which is not a private company, which has got such minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed. What is that which is prescribed right now? Nothing. Can you start a public company with ekdam basic 5,000 rupees capital? Yes. And the third one, it is a subsidiary of a public company. So if the holding company is a public company, its subsidiary is a private company, that also will be deemed as it is a public company. So uske articles mein, subsidiary ke articles mein, will it have the 3 clauses? Yes or no? Think and tell me, will the subsidiaries articles have the 3 clauses? Yes, it will have, but still it will be regarded as if it is a public company, meaning other than those 3 restrictions, every other rule that is applicable to a public company will apply to such a private company, because it is a deemed public company. Clear? Okay, significant points of public company. We'll talk about it once we finish private company. Private company has got such minimum paid up share capital as may be prescribed. How much is that? Again, nothing is prescribed. And which by its articles does these three things. What are those three things? Restricts, limits and prohibits. Restricts the right to transfer shares, limits the number of members to 200 and prohibits any invitation from the public to subscribe for any of its securities. Now, can you transfer shares in a private company? Yes or no? Yes, you can, subject to certain restrictions. And what are those restrictions? Existing member को you can transfer the share. अगर existing member कोई भी willing नहीं है, then what will you do? Ask the board of directors, can I sell the shares to some outsider? We as members may not know how many number of members are there in the company. Board will know that. So directors will tell, you can sell it to the outsider. Because this 200 limit of number of members, we cannot exceed. It will not be treated as if it is a private company then, correct? So transferability of shares is possible, but there is a restriction. So is there a prohibition on transfer of shares? No, there is only a restriction. Second is, it limits the number of members to 200, means the maximum number of members in a private company will be 200. For calculating 200, we should keep these two things in mind. First is that if they are joint owners, joint holders, they will be treated as if they are a single member. And if it is a present employee or a past employee, when shares were given to them, why were they given to them is because they were employees. Right now he may not be an employee. Is it required for him to sell the shares? No. So can he continue to be the member? Yes. So right now he is not an employee, but he is a member. Are we going to count him in 200? No. Because the intention of giving those shares was never to increase the number of members. It was only to either motivate, retain or reward the members. So we are not going to count them in 200, correct? And one more word before this, except in case of OPC. So this definition also tells us that OPC is always a private company, and OPC mein there is no limit of 200 ka limit does not apply, because max members in OPC is only one member, correct? And the third point is that prohibition on invitation to public to subscribe for any of its securities. Can a private company raise money from the public? No. Which company can raise money from the public? Public company. Can a private company raise money from its members? Yes, it can. There is a prohibition to raise it from the public, and law specifies every time any company goes for a public issue, compulsorily it has to issue a document called as prospectus. Is a private company required to issue prospectus? No. Why no? Because it is cannot issue to the public. Not for shares, but private company tells the people to subscribe to its debentures. Can it ask the public to subscribe to its debentures? Also no. Why no? Any securities that include shares, debentures, equity shares, preference shares or any other security. Security means something that will have a face value. तो कुछ भी चीज को फेस वैल्यू अगर है तो प्राइवेट कंपनी कैन नॉट आस्क द पब्लिक टू सब्सक्राइब टू दोस सिक्योरिटीज. So private company basically is a chotu C company which has got only few people. Few people are how many? Only max 200 people. Minimum how many people? 2. Maximum how many people? 200. The money also that it has, it can get it by way of loans, borrowings, correct? Other than that, it can also get it from the existing members. But it cannot make an issue to more than 200 members, right? Then we have got an OPC. OPC is a one-person company. Minimum members are how many? 1. Maximum members how many? 1. Minimum directors for OPC? 1. Minimum director for private company? 2. Minimum director for public company? 3. अरे डायरेक्टर है ना, लिखे अभी देख के पढ़ो. After small company we had written it. See and read. Minimum members for public company is 7. For private it is 2. For OPC it is 1. Max members for public is no limit. For private is 200. For OPC is 1. Minimum directors for public 3. For private 2. And for OPC 1. Max directors for all the companies 15. Restriction and prohibition. Does it exist on invitation to subscribe? For public company, no such thing. For private company, there is a restriction or prohibition. Prohibition. For an OPC also there is a prohibition. Transferability of shares. Public company, freely transferable. Private company, restriction. OPC also there is a restriction. It is a private company only. Correct? Yes or no? Okay. What else did we see in case of OPC? For a person, if he wants to be a member or a nominee of an OPC, 3 conditions to be satisfied. First is, he should be a natural person. Second, he should be an Indian citizen. And third, whether or not he is a resident in India. He is born in India, he is citizen of India. Last 5 years say he is staying in the US. Can he incorporate an OPC? Yes, he can. Why you telling no? Whether or not he is a resident है या नहीं does not matter. वो confusing point है. Think like that. So resident है या नहीं does not matter. What matters is he should be individual and he should be an Indian citizen. But resident दिया हुआ है. That's why resident का meaning is what? He is in India for a period of 120 days or more during the preceding financial year. But ये condition apply ही नहीं होगा. Correct? These conditions are applicable not just to a member but also to a nominee. Correct? Can minor be a member of the OPC? No. Can minor be a nominee of the OPC? No. Can minor hold shares with beneficial interest in OPC? That also not possible. Matlab minor is telling somebody else to be the registered owner but benefit will be enjoyed by the minor. ऐसा हो सकता है क्या? No. Minor cannot concern himself with OPC at all क्योंकि एक ही तो member है. वो भी अगर minor रहा तो कैसे? Correct? So it cannot be a minor, right? Now when OPC का member is appointing a nominee, his name will be given as a nominee in the articles, my head. Memorandum. What you're telling? Under which clause? Nominee clause. है ना? Name of the nominee will be given under nominee clause in the memorandum. Can nominee decide to not be a nominee? Yes, this will be called as a withdrawal of consent. Can the OPC member remove the nominee? Yes, in any case he has to appoint a new nominee. जब भी nominee नहीं रहेगा, he will have to appoint a new nominee within 15 days. अच्छा ये नहीं है शायद. Okay, he has to appoint a new nominee. Fine. Yes or no? Are you able to recollect? At a time, a person can be a member of only one OPC. At a time, he can be a nominee of only one OPC. Where he is member of one, nominee of another, he will become the member where this member dies or incapacitated. So now that he is the member of two OPCs, he has to decide within 180 days which OPC he wants to continue to be the member as. Correct? OPC is incorporated. Within 1 month, it thinks it's better to convert into a regular private company. Can it convert within 1 month? Yes, it can. OPC is incorporated as an OPC. Its turnover increases to 100 crores. Is it required to convert into any other company? No. एक बार OPC incorporate हो गया, lifelong can it decide to remain as an OPC? Absolutely yes. OPC cannot do these things. First is, it cannot be incorporated or converted into a Section 8 company. There, it cannot do that. I told you some logic here. Charity करना अच्छी बात है. How many people should do? More people should do. At least 2 people has to do. Correct? 1 person shouldn't do it. OPC is 1 person. Can it be converted to Section 8? No. Can it be incorporated as a Section 8? Also no. It cannot carry out banking or NBFC related activities. It cannot even invest in securities of other body corporate. Normally, can a company be a member in another company? Yes. But can OPC be a member of another company? It cannot. member of the OPC. Can he be a member in another company? Yes, he can. But OPC cannot purchase securities of another body corporate. Correct? Can the member of an OPC be the director as well? Yes, he can. Can he have more directors as well? Yes. Can he have more members? No, more members nahi ho sakta, but he can have more directors. Clear? Next one, very, very important. Small company is that company which satisfies both these conditions. First condition is that paid up share capital does not exceed 50 lakhs or such higher amount as may be prescribed, not being more than 10 crores, and its turnover as per profit and loss during immediate preceding financial year does not exceed 2 crores or such higher amount as may be specified, not being more than 100 crores. Right now the prescribed amounts are how much? 4 crores for paid up share capital and 40 crores for turnover. So what is important and relevant to us to see whether it is a small company or not is 4 crores and 40 crores. इससे कम अगर turnover या paid up share capital है, only then it will be a small company, right? We solved many cases, many examples are there, है ना? You can see that, but एक second, continue the definition. These certain companies cannot be small companies. They are public company, holding company, subsidiary company, Section 8 company or company governed under any special act. What is the purpose of Companies Act to introduce this concept of small company? Is to provide relaxation. अगर किसी का टर्नओवर 10-20 lakhs है and किसी कंपनी का टर्नओवर 10,000 crores है, you cannot make the same provisions applicable, correct? Resources company will not have to comply with so much, so that's why there are relaxations that are provided. If it is a public company, it can get money from the public people will be involved, so can this company get any relaxations? No, that's why public company cannot be a small company. If it's a holding company, means it has got subsidiaries, so its intention is to expand, we don't want to give it relaxation. If it is a subsidiary company, subsidiary को apply करके holding को नहीं करके is not correct, so subsidiary also cannot be a small company. If it is under Section 8, it already has got so many relaxations, so again other special relaxation nahi milega, it cannot be a Section 8 company. And last one, if it is governed under any special act, again as it is Companies Act is a little chill over there, it has more relaxations, again relaxations will not be given. Clear? So technically speaking, if it's a small company, paid up share capital turnover will be less than 4 crores, less than 40 crores, and these 5 wale companies cannot be small companies, right? Then holding company means that company which has got subsidiary company. Subsidiary company means that company which has holding company. Means that which has got, in which the holding company exercises these two types of control. Either it is an ownership control or it is, सबसे पहले, it is managerial control or it is an ownership control. Correct? Now we wrote no कुछ तो भी अच्छा, ये कुछ तो भी है, ये गंदा हाँ, here controls the composition of board of directors means what? Appoints or removes either all or majority of the directors and controls more than 1/2 of the total voting power either on its own or along with one or more of its subsidiaries. So if it has a directed managerial control or it has got ownership control, we will say that there is a holding subsidiary relation. Correct? You all remember these examples as well? Yes? Okay. Then certain points over here. First point is what? If it's a subsidiary of a subsidiary company, it will be treated as if it's a subsidiary of the holding company. So this is called as the chain holding, right? Certain companies, there is a prescribed limit. They cannot have more than certain specified layers, and that layers is 2 layers. So subsidiary of holding company all will be single layer. Their subsidiary will be next layer. Their subsidiary is going to be the next layer, which will not be allowed since only 2 layers are allowed. Correct? Next one is company includes body corporate. Normally, is this a universal meaning? Company, does it include body corporate? No, it doesn't. Company का definition ही void हो जाएगा then. Only for the purpose of holding subsidiary and associate company includes body corporate. So Indian company agar hai incorporated in India, its holding company is in Switzerland. Will there be a holding subsidiary relation between these companies? Yes, because Switzerland company, even though it is not a company, it is a body corporate, correct? And where shares are held in a fiduciary capacity, they are not counted for determining holding and subsidiary relation, right? Remember, if I hold 65% in a particular company, can I be the holding company? No, because I am not the company. I form a trust, A Limited. A Limited is holding in S Limited. A Limited is the registered owner, but Miss A is the beneficial owner, correct? So it will not be counted as if it is the shares of A Limited. It will be counted as if it is the shares of Miss A, because A Limited is holding in a fiduciary capacity. Clear? Associate company, see and read the definition. Associate company in relation to another company means a company in which that other company has a significant influence, but which is not a subsidiary company of the company having such an influence, and it includes a joint venture company. Significant influence means two things: either having 20% or more voting power, or being able to take part in business decisions under an agreement. And joint venture means where these entities, venturers, have got access to the net assets of this arrangement. Reliance Industries has got 25% voting power in Balaji Telefilms. So who is the associate of whom? Balaji is the associate of Reliance Industries, correct? Starbucks Global and Tata Consumers together formed Starbucks India. So Starbucks India is the joint venture, which is an associate company, and Tata and Starbucks Global are both venturers or investing companies. Yes or no? Holding companies or parent companies, correct? We saw this as well. This chart type we had written. Yes, here. So if the investment held by a parent company is less than 20%, what will be the relation between this and that company? No relation. That is only called as an investment. If it is more than 20% but up to 50%, then it is an associate company. If it is more than 50%, it will be a subsidiary company, and if it is 100%, still a subsidiary, but a term that we have is a wholly owned subsidiary company. Clear? Listed company means that company which is listed its securities on a stock exchange. Certain companies are prescribed by SEBI. Even though they have listed certain companies on stock exchange, we do not treat them as listed companies. Unlisted company means those which are not listed companies. Government company means that in which government is holding not less than 51% of paid up share capital, and which government is holding it, either CG or SG or together by CG or SG, and which is also a subsidiary of a government company. So subsidiary of a government company will be treated as if it is a government company only, correct? इसके लिए भी we had seen so many examples, right? Okay, है ना? See this particular example in A Limited, 20% is held by CG and SG, 20% is held by a government company. Will A Limited be a government company? No, because in the company, the more than 51% should be held by government, correct? So this is not a government company, right? 51% is for government company. For holding subsidiary, what's the number? 50%, correct. Okay, what is the meaning of foreign company? That company or a body corporate which is incorporated outside India, which has got a POB in India and which conducts any business activity in India. This POB that is there in India can either be conducted by itself or through an agent or physically or through electronic mode. If a company is incorporated outside India or any body corporate, if they want to come to India to carry out business in India, there are various ways in which they can come over here. Either they themselves come directly. If they are doing their business in India, is Indian Act going to keep quiet? No, we will charge them as a foreign company, or else they can incorporate a subsidiary company over here, do the business through the subsidiary company. To this subsidiary company, we will treat it as if it is an Indian company, apply the entire Companies Act. Or if the holding is not more than 50%, we can also, or they can also incorporate an associate company, correct? So these are just the ways in which entity incorporated outside India can carry out business in India. Okay? Dormant company means what? It is formed for a future project or to hold an asset or intellectual property. It has got no significant accounting transaction, which is an inactive company, should make an application to ROC, and ROC grants it a status of dormant company. Will we apply to ROC to get a status of a small company? No. Will we get a status of a dormant company? Yes. Only then we will be treated as if we are dormant company, correct? So can we declare ourselves to be a dormant company? No. Compulsorily application is required to ROC. Once we apply to ROC, ROC will keep the corporate identity as valid for a maximum period of 5 years. We have to resume our operations in that 5 years. If we don't, ROC can strike off, cancel our name from the register, correct? Inactive significant accounting transaction means any transaction other than these four. 3 are fees and 1 is shares. 3 fees are what? Payment of fees to the registrar, payment of fees for compliance of this act or any other act, then payment of fees for maintenance of office and records, and last one, allotment of shares. Agar ye transaction kar raha hai company, it is still an accounting transaction, but these are required and these are allowed. We can still treat the company as if it's a dormant company. Inactive company means that company, 3 things: it is not carrying out any business or operation, it has not made any significant accounting transaction for preceding 2 years, and not filed annual return or financial statement for preceding last 2 years, right? So apply to ROC, get the status, sort out your issues, and start operations within a max period of 5 years. Clear? Then Nidhi company means that company which is a public company. In the name it should always have Nidhi Limited. CG has given rules for Nidhi company. Some of the rules, ek hi cheez bas, minimum paid up share capital should be 10 lakhs. If it is public or private company, they don't have any minimum paid up share capital. But if it's a Nidhi company, there is this restriction. Then members normally can be any body corporate. But if it's Nidhi, it will only be individuals. They only can have equity shares. They cannot have preference shares at all. Okay. So certain these things are given by CG only. Why is Nidhi incorporated? Is so that it inculcates the habit of thrift and savings amongst its members. It will receive the money as deposits from the members, give loans only and only to the members at a lower rate of interest. Correct? PFIs. To be a PFI, these 2 conditions are satisfied. Firstly, it is incorporated under any central or state act, but not Companies Act, and in which at least 51% paid up share capital is held by CG or SG, or together by CG and SG. For anything to be called as a PFI, it has to be notified by CG. Only then it will be called as PFI. So LIC, IDFC or UTI, certain other examples, these are all PFIs. Inka kaam kya hai, tell me? To lend money at large. But they are not banking companies. Banking Regulation Act does not apply to them. Is this okay? Then next one is formation of company with charitable object. Means what? It is a Section 8 company. So Section 8 company is that company which should satisfy how many conditions? 3 conditions. See and read. First condition is the objects of the company are to promote commerce, arts, science, sports, education, etc. Next one, it should apply the profits that it is made in promoting these objects. And third one, there is a prohibition on payment of dividend to its members. Section 8 company, can it provide a dividend to its members? No. Can it include this clause in the articles that it can provide dividend to its members? No. There is a complete prohibition. हमेशा act में जो भी चीज दिया रहेगा and MOA and AOA में जो भी चीज रहेगा, which is more superior? Act is more superior. MOA and AOA can never override the act. It can never go beyond the act. Where act is allowing company to decide by having the power in MOA, giving the power in MOA or AOA, only their company can decide. Otherwise, the company has got no option. So, if a Section 8 company, even if it wants to, can it declare dividend? No, there is a prohibition, right? Once you satisfy these conditions, what should you do? Make an application to CG. CG will do these three things. First is issue a license, add the company, tell the company not to add the word limited or private limited, and also issue certain additional conditions. Then our company will inform whom? Our ROC, right? Privileges, obligations are exactly the same as any other company, but one extra benefit that they have is what? A firm can become a member of a Section 8 company. Alteration of MOA and AOA can be done even by this company, but they have to follow two things. First is the procedure under Companies Act, and the second is prior approval of CG. So same legal requirement along with prior approval of CG. Can a Section 8 company convert to any other company? Yes, simple, only by passing an SR. Can a company convert to Section 8 company? Yes, again simple, by making an application to CG. CG will see those three conditions or those 3 points and issue a license, correct? Can CG get angry? Yes, when CG gets angry, what will CG do? Revoke the license. So CG gets angry in these three cases. First is, this company has contravened provisions of Section 8 or contravened additional conditions, or affairs of the company are carried out fraudulently. In all of these cases, CG can revoke, and if CG is revoking, before that it will give a reasonable opportunity of being heard. Once CG revokes, these three things will happen. The company will have to convert its status, add the words limited, private limited, and also inform ROC, correct? Then if three things happen, then CG can give two types of orders. Those three things are, what are those three things? No. If three things happen, then CG can give two types of orders. Those three things that are happening are, CG has revoked the license, it is in public interest, and after giving a reasonable opportunity of being heard, CG can do these two things. One is either wound up or amalgamation. Wind up हो रहा है मतलब assets realized and liabilities paid off. So in that case, if there are surplus assets, those will be transferred to either a Section 8 company having similar objects or insolvency fund. So ये भी order CG देगा, correct? And if it is an amalgamation, then rights, obligations, privileges, benefits will all be determined by CG. Section 8 company on its own will wants to amalgamate with any other regular normal company. Can it do that? No. Profit making company and non-profit making company का amalgamation नहीं हो सकता. Can Section 8 merge with another Section 8 having similar objects? Yes. If there is any default in complying with anything given over here, company's fine will be minimum 10 lakhs to 1 crore. Officer's fine will be 25,000 to 25 lakhs or up to 3 years imprisonment or with both. Plus, if the affairs are carried out fraudulently, then Section 447 will apply. 447 always applies where the affairs are carried out fraudulently. Here, under 447, the intention to commit fraud is important. If the parties intend to commit fraud, 447 is applicable. If there is no intention of committing fraud, only and only default hua hai, then only the fine and penalty will apply. Clear? Okay, certain significant points, everything that we saw all as separate points, and few others which are not there right now in your syllabus. फिर भी एक बार go through करना है तो कर लो, okay? If it's a company, it is mandatorily required to use the word limited or private limited. Only two companies are exempted. One is Section 8 and another is a government company. Listen to my question. Body corporate, also called as corporation. What is the definition of body corporate? No pics. Body corporate includes company incorporated outside India, but does not include cooperative society registered under Cooperative Societies Act and any other body corporate as may be specified by CG. How do we know whether something is a body corporate or not? We'll see pics. First and foremost, it has to be incorporated under any law, either Central Act, State Act or any other act even outside India, correct? And if it is incorporated, it should also have a separate legal entity. It should also have perpetual succession and capacity to sue and to be sued. So if it satisfies this, then it will be a body corporate. Foreign company is incorporated outside India. For us, is it a body corporate? Yes, it is, because it satisfies PICS. ICAI, is it a body corporate? Yes. ICSI, ICWAI, RBI, SEBI, PFIs, LLPs, are these body corporate? Yes. So how will you know whether they are body corporate or not? If they are PICS, correct? Is company also a body corporate? Yes. Is every body corporate a company? No, it's not. So between company and body corporate, wider term is a body corporate. Every company is a body corporate. Every body corporate need not be a company. Certain body corporates, even though they are body corporates, they are separately, expressly excluded from the definition. Like a cooperative society exists in its name. It is registered under Cooperative Societies Act, correct? Like Amul, it is registered, but still Companies Act ke liye it is not a body corporate. Corporation sole, so Queen of England ke case mein, so there she existed in her name and she existed as an artificial person as well. So individual ka death ho gaya, but artificial ka existence it still continues. So in that case as well, even though it is a body corporate, our Indian Companies Act does not regard it as a body corporate. So even if it is a CIOI, company incorporated outside India, it is a body corporate, but these two are not body corporates, cooperative society and any other as may be specified by CG. Partnership firm, for example, sole proprietor, for example, it is not a body corporate. Clear and simple? Yes? Sorry. Continue. Yes. Section 3 talks about formation of a company. Company is required to have minimum these many number of members. How many? If it's a public company, then 7. Private company, then 2 and 1 person if it is an OPC. And how are these members of the company? By subscribing their names to the memorandum. So that's why we say these are the initial members of the company, correct? Section 3A is telling us what? Number of members are reduced below this minimum number and company carries on the business for more than 6 months. Then whatever are the debts of the company which company has contracted after 6 months, for that who is going to be liable? Members will be personally liable. We had written an example as well, correct? Promoter means what? He is 3 ways to become a promoter. He is named as a promoter in prospectus or in the annual return. Next one, he has got control over the affairs of the company and according to his advice or directions or instructions, the board of directors is accustomed to act. Provided where he gives this advice in a professional capacity, he is not considered as a promoter, correct? ये बाकी सब stories ये रहने दो. Incorporation के लिए the form that we need is INC 32, that is the Spice Plus form. But along with that, we also have to submit these documents. And there are how many documents? 7 documents. First document, just the name, is MOA and AOA. Second document is a declaration. Declaration which sees that Companies Act ke rules and provisions are complied with. So can I say this is a declaration of compliance? Yes. So first is MOA and AOA. Second is declaration of compliance. Third is other declaration. Fourth is address of correspondence, and next is subscribers personal details. Then we have first directors personal details, and last one is first directors interest and consent to act as a director, correct? MOA and AOA will be subscribed by the subscribers, by the members, correct? Next one, declaration stating that all the Companies Act के rules and provisions are complied with. This is signed by these two people. Who are they? Advocate CACS CWA in practice and Director, Manager or CS of the company. Next one, it's a declaration signed by every subscriber and by every first director. States these three things. He is, firstly, not convicted of any offense relating to promotion, formation or management of the company. Next one, he is not been found guilty of any fraud, misfeasance or breach of duty during preceding 5 years, and all the documents that are register is correct, complete and true to the best of his knowledge and belief. Company related अगर कोई person fraud किया है and he is found guilty, for how many years can he not incorporate a company? Company related forever, correct? If it is any other fraud, not company related, then after 5 years he can incorporate a company, correct? Okay, address of correspondence, still the company has its registered office. Then next one is subscribers personal details. It can either be a individual or a body corporate. So prescribed details. Next one is the first director's prescribed details. Can a body corporate be the first director? No, director is always an individual. Other than the personal details, there is one unique number that is needed, that is the DIN. And first director ke these two things. First is an interest in other firms and body corporates and a consent to act as a director of this company. Why do we need his interest in other firms and body corporate? Is because director has got restrictions. He cannot be a director of unlimited companies. He has got restrictions. Say he can be a director of max 20 companies, out of which public companies will be maximum 10 companies. So where he is declaring his interest, we will know whether he is disqualified or not, correct? Once we submit this to ROC, ROC is going to grant us a certificate called as COI, Certificate of Incorporation, which is in the form INC 11. This has got a unique number called as a SIN. SIN is a long number which is 21-digit alphanumeric number. Does LLP also get a unique number like this? Yes, and that is called as LLPIN, correct? And that is a chotu number which is only a 7-digit number. SIN is a 21 digit, LLPIN is a 7 digit. All these documents, incorporation ke documents jo hai, copies of it should be kept by the company where? At the registered office. And for how long? Forever, till its dissolution. Ye forever words, even though we are telling, we shouldn't use it. है ना? We should use the word till its dissolution, right? Directors of the company are telling it is unsafe to keep it at that registered office because that registered office is located in an area जहाँ पर सब गुंडे लोग हैं. Okay, so they want to keep it in the house of a director. Is this allowed? No. कैसा भी registered office रहो, it should be kept at the registered office only till its dissolution. All these people, if they are submitting any false, incorrect information, they will be liable under section 447, and those people are the promoters, first directors and all those people who made the declaration of compliance, correct? And if the details that are submitted are false or incorrect, tribunal can get angry. Tribunal can grant one of these 5 orders. First is, it can pass an order for regulation of the management of the company, including changes to the MOA and AOA which is in public interest or company's members or whose creditors' interest, correct? So company is incorporated by mentioning an illegal clause in the memorandum. Will it make COI अगर आ गया है company को, will it make that illegal clause as legal? No. And since the documents that are submitted are incorrect, can tribunal give an order to remove that illegal clause? Yes. So changes to MOA or AOA or changes to the management can be given ordered by the tribunal. Second order can be that the liability of the members is unlimited. Third is for removal of the name or similar is winding up. And last is pass such other orders. Removal and winding up are the same in the sense that the effect of this is the company will not be a company anymore. But where company has got liabilities, abruptly we cannot shut it down. एक procedure follow करना है. Official assignee will be appointed. all this procedure will be done if it is winding up. If it's a new company having absolutely no liabilities at all, क्या करेगा official liquidator? Nothing. So company का name will be directly removed, right? Strike off or removal word mean the same, and winding up is a procedure after which the name will be struck off or removed. Clear? But before giving this order, tribunal will do these two things. First is give a reasonable opportunity of being heard and consider the transactions that are entered by the company, including any obligation. So consider that and pass the orders, right? What is the effect of registration? Once the company is registered, what will happen? Characteristics of company aa jayega. From now only it is called as a company. So all the characteristics will apply. Abhi ye pure characteristics mein जो भी कंपनी रिलेटेड है दैट इज गोइंग टू अप्लाई. मेंबर का तो अभी कुछ काम नहीं है, सो लिमिटेड लायबिलिटी ऑफ मेंबर वी कैन स्ट्राइक दैट ऑफ. ट्रांसफरेबिलिटी ऑफ शेयर, स्ट्राइक दैट ऑफ. सेपरेट मैनेजमेंट अगेन नॉट रिलेटिंग टू कंपनी, सो स्ट्राइक इट ऑफ. अलोंग द अदर देन दैट we have these 2 points as well. The name of the company is the name that is mentioned in the memorandum, correct? The members of the company are who? The subscribers to the memorandum, correct? And is there a contract between members and the company? Yes. And where is it evidenced by? MOA and AOA. Evidence by matlab kya hai? The terms and conditions of the contract are given in MOA and AOA. Clear? Effect of memorandum and articles, you don't have to know so much in detail, but what is the effect? That there is a binding contract between whom and whom? Company and the members. So company is bound to the members, members are bound to the company. Agar company breach kar diya hai, member can file a suit. Company is about to commit a breach, member can get an injunction. If the member is not doing something as per contract, company can file a suit. Member cannot proceed against the member because there's no contract between them. Privity applies, right? But they can proceed through the company because they are joint owners. But MOA and AOA can never ever create a contract between company and an outsider. It is given in the MOA that after this company is incorporated, XYZ will be appointed as the CAs for the company. XYZ are not appointed. Can they file a suit on the company? No, they cannot. If XYZ was a member, then can he file? Yes or no? Again, he cannot. When we are talking about the rights of a member, it will be the rights that are available to every member, not just to certain specified member. Also, agar you are appointed as a lawyer, CA, CS or anything, you will be disqualified from being appointed if you are the member of the company. Okay. So in any case, outsider and MOA and AOA mein, there cannot be any contract. Is this okay and clear and simple? Yes. Different types of share capitals, you know already. Authorized capital is what? Maximum capital. Jitna company raise kar sakta hai. Beyond this, can it raise by issue of shares? No. Which means it is, can the rephrasing. Can the company raise more capital than the authorized capital? No. Does this mean company can never raise any capital? Also no. What will it have to do is alter the authorized capital, increase it, and then it can raise that capital, correct? Now this authorized capital applies only and only for the shares, and which type of shares? Equity as well as preference. Authorized is for both, okay? And in the authorized capital, it will be mentioned, the number of shares will be mentioned, face value per share will be mentioned, and even total will be mentioned, correct? Out of this, jitna bhi company ko as of now chahiye, that company will issue, so that is called as an issued capital. Company jitna issue kar raha hai, people also have to subscribe, that will be the subscribed capital. Out of that, whatever company has called will be called capital, and when the member pays, it will be the paid up capital. If the member does not pay, it will be unpaid capital, called in calls in arrears. But agar company call kiya hai and member doesn't pay, then it is calls in arrears. But company has not called it yet, it can call it, that will be uncalled capital. Another type of capital called the reserve capital, which will be called only and only during winding up of the company for one purpose, that is to pay off the creditors alone. So this needs a special resolution as well, okay? Meaning of share. Share is a share in the share capital of the company. Now if it's a share, is it a movable property? Yes. Can it be moved and transferred? Yes. Following the procedure that is given in AOA. If the shares are held in physical form, every member gets a share certificate. Every share certificate will have a distinctive number. But if the shares are held in demat form, is share certificate given? No. Then who is the registered owner of the shares? Depository. Who will be the beneficial owner of the shares? Upon investors. Correct? Share certificate agar hai, to it is issued under common seal. That's it. Types of shares, two types. What are they? Preference and equity. Equity shares is of two types again. Ordinary equity shares and DVR, shares with differential voting rights. Correct? If it's a private company, then this section will not apply where the MOA or AOA prescribes. मतलब preference and equity share का जो definition है, that does not apply if it is a private company having it specifically mentioned in the MOA and AOA. Now what is the definition of equity share capital? That which is not a preference share capital. Preference share capital is that which get preference for these two things, that is dividend and repayment of capital. Repayment of capital will be obviously during winding up only. We can have different types of preference shares capital. What are they? Preference share capital. Preference shares can be of alag type. What are they? Yes, quickly bolo ek bar. Cumulative, non-cumulative, redeemable, irredeemable, participating, non-participating, convertible, non-convertible. Convertible may be fully convertible or partially convertible. Then redeemable, irredeemable. Then बस 8 ही है. Okay. So preference, cumulative, sorry, what was this? Participating and non-participating, we had written it, correct? Participating means participating in the surplus assets or even surplus capital, profit, sorry, surplus assets or surplus profit, and or surplus assets, surplus profit. Preference share, equity share ka difference, will you all see that? Yes. MOA and AOA quickly. MOA is the charter of the company. It's the constitution of the company. The powers of the company will be given in MOA. Powers of the directors will be given in AOA. MOA and AOA both are regarded as they are public document. Every person dealing with the company is presumed to have read and even understood it, correct? क्या चीज कंपनी कर सकता है will be given in the MOA. That is only called as the power of the company, correct? For a member, how does MOA and AOA help? It will know that where the money is utilized by the company. For an outsider, how will MOA and AOA help? It will know whether it is within the powers of the company or not, whatever transaction it is entering, correct? Can the company go beyond its MOA? No, it cannot. So it will be treated as if it is ultra virus and it is void. Then we have the clauses of a memorandum. What are they? Then registered office clause, then object clause, then liability clause, then capital clause and association clause, also called as subscription clause. Other than that, there is also a nominee clause which is applicable only in case of OPC, right? We had seen all this as well, है ना? Any explanation needed anywhere? Okay. Powers of directors are present in the articles. The articles contain the rules and regulations for the internal management of the company. So bylaws of the company are given over there. Director क्या कर सकता है या नहीं, that is given in the articles. जो भी articles में the clauses that are present in articles, they are called as regulation. Listen, this is a question, theory question that has come in the exam. Section 5 seeks to provide contents and model of the articles, lay down a few rules with respect to this. So the first one is what? The clauses are called as regulation. Second is it can also include any additional matter other than what is given, correct? Next is it can have a provision for entrenchment, means it can make the certain provisions more stricter or more restrictive. Normally, when will you pass an OR? When law specifies it to be OR. When will you pass an SR? Law specifies it to be SR. By choice, will any company want to pass an SR? No, because it is more difficult, correct? So law says, even though law is telling OR or SR is to be passed, you can alter your articles and instead of OR, you can make it as an SR. Instead of SR, you can make it as a unanimous consent, correct? So consider if we have made it as a unanimous consent, if a person is not, one vote he has given against the resolution, Will the resolution be passed? No. So here we are protecting the rights of the shareholder. We are telling him indirectly that your opinion, your view also matters, correct? So this entrenchment provision can be included in our articles either at the time of formation or later. If it's a public company, include it by passing an SR. If it's a private company, get the consent of all the members. This entrenchment was not included under 1956 Act. तो जो कंपनी तब अगर रजिस्टर हुआ है and they want this provision in their articles, can they include it? Yes, if it's public company by passing an SR, if it's private company then by unanimous consent of all the members, correct? एक तो we have to mention specifically what are the entrenchment provisions in our articles. Other than that, every time we pass this resolution, we will also have to inform ROC, file a notice with ROC in the form MGT 14 within a period of 30 days. Clear? Then we have got some model articles, applicability of model articles. So every regulation ke saath we can do three things. Either we can include it, or we can exclude it, or we can modify it. If we do not exclude or modify it, means it is included as it is, correct? Difference between MOA and AOA. MOA gives the powers of the company, AOA is powers of the directors. MOA will talk about, define the relationship between company and the outsiders, and AOA is company and the members. Can MOA be altered? Yes, sir. Every clause ke liye there is a separate procedure. But can AOA be altered? Again, answer is yes. But every regulation ke liye there is the same procedure, which is passing an SR. Okay. An Ultra Vires Act means beyond the powers of MOA, it is void. If it is beyond AOA, it will be valid, provided it is ratified by the members or by the company. Correct? Last few minutes and we are done. Three doctrines we have: doctrine of ultra vires, doctrine of constructive notice, and doctrine of indoor management. Doctrine of ultra vires, we talk about two most important documents of the company. They are MOA and AOA. If a company is doing any act which is, yes, if company is doing any act which is beyond the powers of the company, then it is called as an ultra vires act, correct? Not just beyond the powers of the company, this is also called as beyond the powers of the shareholder or member or even MOA. Beyond MOA, it is also called an ultra vires MOA. What is the effect of this transaction? It is void ab initio. Can estoppel be made applicable? No. Is ratification applicable? Also no, it cannot be ratified. So estoppel doesn't apply, ratification also doesn't apply. Company, is it liable? Not liable. Company is not bound by the transaction because company is incompetent. Can injunction order be obtained against the company? Yes, but injunction will be obtained when? When the company is about to commit the breach, correct? And will directors be held personally liable? No, directors will not be held liable, but they will be held liable if they have misapplied the funds of the company, correct? I had written this a little better today. Yes. So these powers of the company, ultra vires and all of this, right? The powers of the directors are given in which document? AOA. So powers of directors, power of board, or powers of board of directors, right? If the directors are doing something beyond their powers, it is an ultra vires directors or ultra vires AOA, but it is intra vires company. This can be accepted or ratified by the company in two ways. Either ratify that particular transaction by passing an SR, or alter the articles and give more power to the directors. For example, company can borrow money. This is a power that will be given where? In the memorandum. For borrowing money up to 50 lakhs board resolution, beyond 50 lakhs special resolution agar aisa hai. Directors have borrowed 60 lakh rupees. Means what this act was basically ultra vires the AOA, correct? So they are telling the members, aisa situation ho gaya that we had to take it without getting an SR. Members say, yes, absolutely, it's okay, we understand. So what are members doing here? Ratifying this transaction, or else members also can feel ki har bar, 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs is such a chiller amount these days. So they want to alter the articles and make that amount as 1 crore. So board resolution is needed until borrowing 1 crore. beyond 1 crore SR is needed, correct? So either that particular transaction ratify or else alter the AOA, right? Doctrine of constructive notice works in favor of the company, means it protects whom? Protects the company, means company is not bound by the transaction. This particular doctrine concerns itself or actually has two presumptions. Every person dealing with the company is presumed to have read the MOA and AOA. Not just that, he is presumed to have understood it in the same sense with which it was written. So RCA Private Limited ka MOA says what? That we are going to provide coaching. CA coaching will be provided after 12th and even after graduation to the students, right? Today RCA has entered into contract to purchase 5 aeroplanes after 40 days. Okay? Now this contract, is it valid and binding on the company? No, but the other person said, I read your MOA, there it is given that you are going to provide higher education. So he thinks education provided in the air is higher education. What he says, is this correct? No, because not only should he read it, he should also understand it in the same sense with which it was written. So can RCA be bound by this transaction? No, it will not, right? Now every time we read MOA and AOA, it is possible to read and understand it, but is it possible to see whether internal rules and regulations are complied with? Not possible. Jaise 60 lakh rupees loan lene ke liye, if a director is going to a lender, will the lender tell, you promise, tell me whether you have passed an SR or not? Is he going to ask like that? No. He is going to presume that SR is passed, correct? So how much ever you read MOA and AOA, you cannot know whether internal procedure is followed or not. That is why we have another doctrine called as doctrine of indoor management, which protects the outsider, means company is liable. So even without passing an SR, where the company has borrowed 60 lakh rupees, company has to pay back how much? Entire 60 lakhs, because this doctrine is protecting outsider. It works in favor of the outsider. But here we have got exceptions. Exception means company is not liable. In how many cases? How many cases? 3 cases. First case is what? Actual or constructive knowledge of the irregularity. A second, this doctrine tells us 2 things. Every person has read the MOA and AOA. He has knowledge of MOA and AOA, but he has got no knowledge of the internal irregularity. In this first case, what is happening? He has the knowledge of irregularity. Will law protect him then? No. खुद ही director 60 lakhs का loan ले रहा है without passing an SR. Protection is not available to him. Correct? Second one is that if it is any negligent or suspicious circumstances, person reads the MOA and AOA, there it is given an asset can be sold by an employee. This fellow pays 10 lakh rupees to the receptionist. Next day when he goes, na receptionist hai na asset hai, obviously. Can he hold the company liable? No, because when receptionist is selling an asset, he should have made proper inquiry. He should have asked, show me the authority letter, correct? He is not an ignorant person. He is a negligent person, correct? A stupid person hai ye basically. Will law protect stupid people? No, law will not protect. So company is not bound by this transaction, correct? Next one, in case of forgery, wherever forgery is done, law presumes that there is an absence of consent. So agar consent hi nahi hai, as per law, there is no contract at all. A shareholder gets a certificate जिसके ऊपर MOA AOA में लिखा हुआ है that 2 directors and 1 CS has to sign it. He gets the certificate, he sees there are 3 signatures, but he is unaware that those signatures of the directors are forged by the CS itself. Will this certificate be valid? Yes or no? No. He is not aware only कि वो forged है. Will it still be valid? No. We understand that he is an innocent person, but law cannot give him protection, because if law is protecting him, law is encouraging forgery. Law is telling us कि किसी की consent की जरूरत ही नहीं है. You forge it. If that fellow is innocent, the contract is valid. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, right? So in these 3 cases, it is what? Company is not liable. Once again, tell the 3 cases. First is Having the knowledge of irregularity. Next one, negligent or suspicious circumstances. And last one is forgery. Okay, हो गया Companies Act? Yes.